Most people say they love themselves, yet their lives tell a different story. They over-explain, overgive, and tolerate what slowly drains them. That isn't self-love. That is self-abandonment. Modern culture sells self-love as comfort, pleasure, and reassurance. The Stoics rejected that illusion. To them, loving yourself meant building a character so solid that chaos could not move it. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself as a reminder, not for applause. Seneca warned that a person who needs approval is enslaved. Their message was simple and brutal. Love yourself enough to live by principle when no one is watching. This kind of self-love is quiet. It doesn't beg. It doesn't perform. It doesn't trade dignity for belonging. In this video, you won't learn how to feel better for a moment. You'll learn how to respect yourself for a lifetime, how to choose discipline over indulgence, how to protect your peace without becoming cold, and how Stoic philosophy turns self-love into unshakable strength. Part 1. Why seeking love from others makes you weak. Most people are not chasing love. They are chasing relief. They want someone else to confirm their worth, soothe their doubts, and silence the quiet fear that they are not enough. At first, this search feels human and harmless, but slowly, almost invisibly, it turns into dependence. When your sense of value comes from outside yourself, you hand your emotional steering wheel to strangers. This is the most common mistake modern people make. They confuse connection with validation. They confuse being chosen with being whole. Social media amplifies this weakness by turning attention into currency. Likes, messages, and praise become tiny emotional payments, and without them, anxiety grows. A Stoic would see this clearly. The more you need approval, the less freedom you possess. In relationships, this dependency shows up as overgiving. You tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, and emotional crumbs because losing the relationship feels worse than losing yourself. You wait for texts, you reread messages, you adjust your boundaries to keep the peace. What you call love is often fear wearing a softer name. At work, the pattern is the same. You tie your worth to performance reviews, titles, and external recognition. Praise lifts you unnaturally high. Criticism destroys you. Instead of acting from principle, you begin acting for applause. Epictetus warned that the person who depends on what is not their own lives in quiet slavery. Even your inner dialogue becomes polluted. You start asking, how do they see me? Instead of, is this aligned with who I am? The Stoics flipped that question completely. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that if his actions were just, honest, and disciplined, the opinions of others were irrelevant. Self-worth was an internal standard, not a public vote. Seeking love from others is dangerous because it slowly erodes self-trust. You stop listening to your own judgment. You outsource your decisions to reactions, moods, and approval signals. Over time, you forget what you actually believe. A Stoic understands that once you give someone control over your emotional state, you have surrendered power. This is why Stoic self-love begins with withdrawal, not isolation, but withdrawal of dependency. You still care, you still connect, but you stop feeding your identity through other people's reactions. You reclaim authorship of your worth. Approval becomes optional, not necessary. When you no longer chase love, something unexpected happens. People feel your steadiness. You speak less, but with more weight. You give without desperation and receive without attachment. This is not coldness. It is sovereignty. And it is the first real step toward loving yourself in a Stoic way. Look at how quickly a single ignored message can destabilize your mood. One post without engagement feels like rejection. One cold response feels personal. These reactions reveal attachment, not sensitivity. The Stoics trained themselves to notice this dependence and cut it at the root. If your peace rises and falls with attention, you are not free, you are managed. Stoic philosophy does not ask you to hate people or reject love. It asks you to remove emotional leverage from their hands. When love is no longer a transaction, it becomes a choice. And when you can walk away without resentment, you finally stand on solid ground. From this place, self-love is no longer a feeling. It is a structure you live inside. This withdrawal is not loss. It is recovery, and it prepares you for the next Stoic lesson, learning to respect yourself without indulgence, weakness, or apology. This is where strength begins. Part 2. Self-love is self-respect, not self-indulgence. Modern culture has blurred the meaning of self-love beyond recognition. It teaches that loving yourself means comfort, constant reassurance, and avoiding anything that feels difficult. But indulgence is not love. It is an escape. When you always choose what feels good in the moment, you slowly weaken your ability to stand firm when life demands strength. Self-indulgence looks gentle on the surface, yet it carries a hidden cost. You silence discomfort instead of learning from it. You justify bad habits as self-care. You excuse poor boundaries because confrontation feels stressful. Over time, this trains your mind to associate love with avoidance. The Stoics would call this a quiet form of self-betrayal. Self-respect, on the other hand, is demanding. It asks you to live in alignment with your values, even when it is uncomfortable. It requires saying no when saying yes would earn approval. It means choosing long-term character over short-term relief. This is why Stoic self-love feels firm, not soft. It is built on discipline, not indulgence. The Stoic reframe is simple but ruthless. Loving yourself means refusing to trade your principles for acceptance. The moment you compromise what you know is right just to be liked, you pay with your dignity. And dignity, once discounted, is difficult to recover. Seneca warned that a person who abandons their standards to please others will never feel secure, no matter how much approval they receive. Think about how often people stay silent when they should speak, stay small when they should step forward, or stay loyal to situations that erode them. They tell themselves they are being kind, patient, or understanding. In reality, they are avoiding the discomfort of standing alone. Stoic philosophy draws a clear line here. Kindness that destroys self-respect is not virtue. It is weakness disguised as morality. Self-respect reshapes how you make decisions. You begin asking different questions. Instead of, will this make them happy? You ask, can I respect myself after this? Instead of, what will I lose if I walk away? You ask, what will it cost me if I stay? These questions recalibrate your inner compass. They move authority back where it belongs. This is why Stoic self-love often feels lonely at first. When you stop over-explaining, over-giving, and overcompensating, some people will feel the loss of control. They may call you distant, selfish, or cold. But what they are really reacting to is the disappearance of your self-betrayal. You are no longer available at the expense of your values. The Stoics believed that peace comes from integrity, not indulgence. A clear conscience is worth more than comfort. When your actions match your principles, you gain an inner steadiness that pleasure can never provide. You sleep better. You speak more directly. You feel less anxious about being misunderstood. Respect for yourself becomes a quiet source of power. Remember this line, because it anchors everything that follows. Anything that costs your dignity is too expensive. No relationship, opportunity, or approval is worth the erosion of your self-respect. When you internalize this, self-love stops being a feeling you chase. It becomes a standard you live by, one decision at a time. This standard does not make you harsh. It makes you clear. Clarity reduces resentment, confusion, and inner conflict. You stop negotiating with your own conscience. You stop needing permission to honor yourself. In Stoic terms, this is freedom, not freedom from effort or responsibility, but freedom from inner division. And from that unity, genuine confidence begins to grow. It is the foundation upon which all unshakable character is patiently built. Part 3. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. Discipline is widely misunderstood. Many people see it as punishment, rigidity, or self-denial forced by guilt. In reality, discipline is none of those things. Discipline is loyalty to your future self. It is the daily decision to protect who you are becoming, even when your present self wants the easier path. The Stoics never treated discipline as cruelty. They treated it as preparation. Life, they knew, would not ask permission before testing you. Pain, loss, fatigue, and chaos were guaranteed. Discipline was how they trained the mind to remain steady when comfort disappeared. In this sense, discipline was an act of care, not control. One of the clearest Stoic practices was voluntary discomfort. Seneca wrote about deliberately exposing himself to simple food, rough clothing, and physical inconvenience. Not because suffering was virtuous by itself, but because choosing difficulty on your own terms builds resilience. When hardship arrives uninvited, it no longer feels foreign. You have met it before. Modern life offers endless opportunities to avoid discomfort. We sleep too little, eat impulsively, and move our bodies only when it feels convenient. Then we wonder why we feel anxious, weak, and unfocused. Stoic discipline interrupts this cycle. It replaces impulsive comfort with intentional structure. Sleep is a form of self-respect. Going to bed on time is not boring. It is an agreement with tomorrow. Proper rest sharpens judgment, stabilizes emotion, and reduces reactivity. When you sacrifice sleep for distraction, you are borrowing energy from the future at a high interest rate. Food works the same way. Eating with discipline is not about restriction for appearance. It is about clarity. Heavy, careless eating dulls the mind and fuels emotional volatility. Stoics valued temperance because the body influences the soul. When you eat with intention, you think with precision. Training the body is another expression of self-love. Movement builds confidence not because of how you look, but because it proves reliability. Every completed workout is evidence that you keep promises to yourself. Over time, this quiet trust compounds. You stop doubting your ability to endure difficulty. Even your words are subject to discipline. Speaking less, more deliberately, and without emotional excess protects your dignity. The Stoics believed that uncontrolled speech revealed an uncontrolled mind. Choosing silence when provoked is not a weakness. It is strength under command. Discipline also governs what you tolerate. You stop excusing environments, habits, and relationships that drain you. You recognize that allowing repeated harm is not compassion. It is neglect of self. Boundaries are disciplined choices, not emotional reactions. The deeper truth is this. Every act of discipline says, I matter enough to prepare. You do not discipline yourself because you are broken. You do it because you are worth protecting. Each disciplined choice is a vote for the person you intend to become. This is why Stoic self-love does not rely on motivation. Motivation is unstable. Discipline is dependable. When feelings fade, structure remains. When comfort tempts you, principle guides you. Repeat this affirmation, especially when resistance appears. I don't abandon myself when it's hard. Discipline is how you stay. It is how you build a life that does not collapse under pressure. And over time, it becomes the strongest proof of self-love you will ever need. It is not dramatic or loud, but it is consistent. Day after day, discipline compounds into stability, confidence, and inner calm. When life becomes uncertain, this foundation holds. You are no longer scrambling for control. You have trained it patiently, quietly, through disciplined care. This is strength earned, not given. over time. Part 4. Stop explaining yourself, a Stoic boundary. Rule: people who do not truly love themselves tend to explain everything. They explain their choices, their boundaries, their tone, their silence. They offer justifications before anyone asks. This habit is not polite. It is insecurity disguised as courtesy. Over-explaining is the language of someone who feels guilty for existing as they are. At its core, excessive explanation comes from fear. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being disliked. Fear of losing connection. When you doubt your own legitimacy, you seek permission through words. You hope that if you explain enough, others will approve. The Stoics recognize this pattern as a form of emotional dependence. Marcus Aurelius warned himself not to waste energy arguing with imagined critics. Seneca advised that a person confident in their values does not rush to defend them. Stoic boundaries are not loud. They are quiet and firm. You act according to reason, and you let the results speak. Silence, in Stoic philosophy, is not avoidance. It is discipline. Disciplined silence means choosing not to explain what does not require explanation. It means resisting the impulse to justify every decision. When your actions align with your principles, words become unnecessary. Over-explaining often backfires. The more you talk, the more you invite negotiation. The more you justify, the more others sense uncertainty. People trust clarity, not verbosity. When you explain less, your decisions feel final. When you explain everything, your authority dissolves. This is especially true in boundaries. Saying, "I'm not available," does not require a story. Saying no does not require an apology. Stoic boundaries are statements, not debates. You do not owe emotional labor to everyone who questions your limits. There is also a hidden cost to constant explanation. You exhaust yourself. You relive decisions mentally. You stay trapped in other people's perceptions. Stoic self-love redirects that energy inward. You conserve your attention for what is within your control. As you stop explaining, something subtle changes. Your presence becomes heavier. Your words carry more weight because they are fewer. People listen more carefully, not because you demanded respect, but because you stopped leaking it. This does not make you rude or indifferent. It makes you precise. Stoics valued the economy of speech because clarity reflects inner order. When the mind is settled, it does not rush to defend itself. Many people fear that silence will create distance. In truth, unnecessary explanation creates fragility. Silence creates structure. Those who respect you will adjust. Those who relied on your self-doubt will feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is not your responsibility. The rule is simple. Explain only when it serves truth, not anxiety. Speak when it adds clarity, not when it seeks approval. This restraint protects your peace more effectively than endless communication ever could. Remember this sentence because it is a Stoic boundary carved in stone. You don't need permission to protect your peace. When you internalize this, your energy stabilizes. You stop performing. You stop negotiating your worth. You stand where you are, calmly, without defense. That quiet stance is not emptiness. It is self-respect in action. Part 5. Choose yourself without becoming cold. One of the greatest misunderstandings about self-love is the belief that choosing yourself makes you selfish. Many people stay stuck in self-sacrifice because they fear becoming hard, distant, or uncaring. They confuse boundaries with cruelty and self-respect with ego. The Stoics saw this confusion clearly and rejected it completely. Stoic philosophy teaches a quieter truth. When you do not choose yourself, you do not become more loving. You become resentful. You give, but your giving is heavy. You help, but you keep score. Over time, this turns compassion into exhaustion. What looks like kindness on the outside becomes self-betrayal on the inside. True self-love does not shut your heart. it stabilizes it. When you choose yourself, you stop giving from emptiness, you give from fullness. This is the difference between compassion and self-erasure. Compassion flows outward without harming the source. Self-betrayal drains the source until nothing is left. The Stoics believed that virtue must be sustainable. A virtue that destroys you is not virtue. It is imbalance. Justice includes justice toward yourself. Temperance includes restraint in how much you give. Wisdom includes knowing when your presence enables harm rather than healing. In families, this lesson is especially difficult. Many people tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or emotional pressure because family is family. They silence themselves to keep harmony, but harmony built on self-suppression is fragile. Over time, it produces bitterness, distance, and quiet anger. Stoic self-love does not demand conflict, but it does demand honesty. You can love without submitting. You can care without complying. In toxic relationships, the pattern is even clearer. You excuse bad behavior because you see someone's pain. You stay because you hope they will change. You sacrifice your peace to preserve the connection. Stoicism draws a firm line here. Understanding someone's wounds does not require you to accept their harm. Compassion does not mean tolerance of repeated disrespect. Choosing yourself may initially feel cold because you are breaking a pattern. People who benefited from your self-neglect may accuse you of changing. They may say you are distant or selfish. What they are really reacting to is the loss of access. Stoic self-love accepts this without hostility and without apology. There is a calm firmness in this approach. You do not withdraw in anger. You withdraw in clarity. You stop rescuing. You stop explaining. You stop bending your values to keep others comfortable. And paradoxically, this is when your presence becomes more authentic. When you are no longer depleted, your kindness becomes lighter. Your generosity becomes cleaner. You give because you want to, not because you are afraid. The Stoics understood that the highest form of compassion is not endless giving, but stable being. You help best when you are whole. Choosing yourself does not mean abandoning responsibility. It means abandoning the illusion that sacrificing yourself will save others. People grow when they face reality, not when you absorb the consequences for them. Stoic self-love teaches balance. You remain warm, but not porous. You remain open, but not unprotected. You remain compassionate, but no longer available for self-destruction. This balance is strength, not coldness. When you choose yourself from this place, you do not lose love. You refine it. You remove guilt, fear, and obligation from the equation. What remains is clearer, quieter, and far more powerful. This is not the love of someone desperate to be needed. It is the love of someone who stands firmly within themselves, offering presence without losing form. Part 6. Memento Mori. Love yourself like time is short. The Stoics spoke often about death, not because they were dark or pessimistic, but because they were precise. Memento Mori was not a threat, it was a lens. By remembering that life is finite, they stripped away illusion and hesitation. When time is limited, self-betrayal becomes irrational. Most people live as if they have endless tomorrows. They tolerate draining conversations, meaningless obligations, and environments that slowly erode them. They postpone courage, they delay honesty. They stay because leaving feels uncomfortable, forgetting that time is far more unforgiving than discomfort. Memento Mori interrupts this sleep. It asks a single, unsettling question. If today were your last, would you still tolerate this? Would you still stay silent? Would you still accept being disrespected? Would you still sacrifice your energy for things that give nothing back? The Stoics use this question not to create fear, but to create urgency. Urgency sharpens self-love. When you remember that your days are numbered, you stop wasting yourself. You realize that loving yourself means protecting your limited time and attention. Every unnecessary compromise suddenly looks expensive. Every delay feels heavier. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that death stands close, not to frighten him, but to wake him up. From that awareness came clarity. Petty drama lost its grip. Other people's opinions lost their power. What mattered was acting in accordance with virtue while time allowed. Stoic self-love under Memento Mori becomes ruthless in the best way. You stop clinging to roles that no longer fit. You stop hoping that time will fix what only courage can change. You stop waiting to feel ready. There is no extra life promised. This perspective also softens resentment. When you remember that everyone is temporary, anger feels like a poor investment. You become more selective, not colder. You forgive faster, not because harm was acceptable, but because your time is too valuable to waste on bitterness. Here is a simple Stoic exercise. Write down 3 things you are currently tolerating that quietly drain you. Not dramatic crises. Subtle, ongoing compromises. A conversation you dread. An obligation that no longer aligns with your values. A relationship where respect has slowly disappeared. Then ask yourself honestly, if my time were truly limited, would I still accept this? If the answer is no, then continuing to tolerate it is not patience. It is avoidance. Memento Mori transforms self-love from abstraction into action. It forces decisions. It demands alignment. You stop treating your life as rehearsal and start treating it as real. This awareness does not make life grim. It makes it vivid. Colors sharpen. Priorities clarify. You speak more honestly. You choose more carefully. You love more cleanly because you no longer confuse endurance with virtue. To love yourself like time is short is to stop abandoning your life one small compromise at a time. The Stoics knew that death gives life its shape. Remembering it is not morbid. It is disciplined love in its most awake form. When you live this way, decisions simplify. You do not need perfect certainty, only honest intent. Memento Mori cuts through noise and excuses. It reminds you that delaying alignment is still a choice. Each day you wake up is a finite opportunity to act with integrity, courage, and restraint. Loving yourself under this lens means refusing to waste another hour, pretending you have time to spare. You do not. And that truth, once accepted, becomes strangely liberating. It invites seriousness without heaviness, urgency without panic, and commitment without cruelty toward yourself. In every ordinary moment. Today, Part 7, Living by Virtue, makes you emotionally untouchable. Virtue is the Stoic answer to emotional instability. When your life is guided by external reactions, you are easily shaken because anything outside you can be taken away. Praise lifts you, criticism crushes you, and uncertainty keeps you tense. The Stoics chose a different foundation. They anchored self-love in virtue, not emotion. Virtue is internal. It cannot be stolen, manipulated, or revoked by other people. When you live by virtue, your emotional state becomes less dependent on circumstance and more rooted in character, which is why Stoics described virtue as the only true good worth building an entire life around. Wisdom is the first pillar. It is the ability to see reality clearly, without distortion from desire or fear. Wisdom helps you distinguish what is within your control from what is not, saving you from emotional waste. Instead of reacting impulsively, you observe, pause, and choose. This protects self-love because you stop punishing yourself for things you cannot control. You also stop chasing outcomes that never belong to you. A wise person does not need constant reassurance because they trust their judgment more than other people's opinions. That inner clarity creates calm, direction, and confidence even during chaos and pressure. Courage is the second pillar. It is not loud bravery, but the quiet strength to act according to principle despite discomfort. Courage allows you to speak when silence would be safer, and to leave when staying would be easier. Without courage, self-love collapses into self-protection. You begin avoiding truth to avoid pain. Stoic courage restores dignity. It teaches you that short-term discomfort is a fair price for long-term self-respect and inner freedom. It breaks dependence on approval and weakens fear-driven attachment patterns. Through courage, emotional manipulation loses power over you completely because you no longer flinch when challenged or pressured. Justice is the third pillar, often misunderstood as mere fairness toward others. Stoic justice includes fairness toward yourself. It demands that you do not exploit others, but also that you do not allow yourself to be exploited. Living justly creates emotional stability because your actions are clean. You're not haunted by guilt, resentment, or self-contempt. When you treat others ethically and yourself honestly, emotional leverage disappears. No one can shame you into compliance when your behavior is already aligned with conscience. This integrity protects self-love without aggression or defensiveness and builds trust within your own mind over time consistently. Temperance is the fourth pillar and perhaps the most misunderstood. It is not repression, but regulation. Temperance governs desire, impulse, and excess. It prevents emotions from hijacking behavior. When you practice temperance, you respond instead of react. You feel emotions fully, but you do not obey them blindly. This creates emotional untouchability. Others may provoke, tempt, or pressure you, but your center remains steady. You are no longer controlled by cravings, moods, or validation. Temperance turns discipline into calm strength rather than rigid control, allowing freedom without chaos or self-destruction in daily decisions and emotional moments across life consistently applied. When these four virtues guide your life, emotional manipulation loses its grip. You no longer beg to be understood, chosen, or validated. Your worth is internally generated. This is why Stoics were so difficult to control. Their emotions answer to principle, not people. The more virtuous you live, the less you beg to be loved. Self-love becomes stable, durable, and independent of circumstance. This is emotional freedom earned through character, not granted through approval. It cannot be taken, negotiated, or threatened by loss, because virtue anchors identity beyond external control and beyond emotional volatility. This is Stoic self-love fully realized. You've just walked through a Stoic definition of self-love that is very different from what the modern world teaches. Self-love is not chasing validation, explaining yourself endlessly, or protecting comfort at all costs. It is self-respect over indulgence, discipline over impulse, clarity over approval. It is choosing yourself without becoming cold, remembering that time is short, and grounding your life in virtue rather than emotion. The Stoics understood something many people miss today. When you live by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, your worth no longer depends on how others treat you. You stop begging to be chosen because you have already chosen yourself. That is where emotional freedom begins. This video is not meant to stay theoretical. Take one idea and practice it today. Set one boundary without over-explaining. Choose one disciplined action that supports your future self. Write down one thing you are tolerating that no longer deserves your time. Small actions, practiced consistently, are how Stoic self-love is built. Thank you for spending this time thinking deeply instead of scrolling endlessly. If this perspective helped you, let me know in the comments which part resonated most. Subscribe if you want more Stoic philosophy applied to real life, and I'll see you in the next video.